Are you looking for ideas to use up some 6x6 paper? I've got a no scrap template for you today. Hi, I'm Jess from jesscrafts.com and I'm going to help you make the most of your crafty supplies and time. So let's get making. Today's card video is part of the Spellbinders 20th birthday celebration, which is amazing. I love Spellbinders products and I share them with you often. I was asked by Spellbinders to be part of this celebration, so the products that I'm using today were sent to me by Spellbinders, but I think that they create high quality products, and that's reinforced by the fact that here they are 20 years later. For today's no scrap template, this is number 39, which means there are 38 more 6x6 templates over at justcrafts.com for you to use if you want to have ideas for using up 6x6 pattern paper. The no scrap template shows you how to cut your paper and then it shows you how to assemble it, but today I'm going to walk you through that process. I start with my 6x6 pattern paper, and for today's template, I cut it to 3x6. That 3x6 inch piece gets cut in half again to 3x3. So I'm doing it here again with the yellow paper, cutting it down to 3x3. Then that other 3x6 paper is going to get cut in half again so that it's 1.5 by 6 inches. And then that 6-inch piece is going to get cut into 4 equal pieces at 1.5 each. So you'll create 1.5-inch squares and 3x3 squares. You don't have to worry too much about those measurements because they are in the template, which you can download at jesscrafts.com. I picked out these yellow and blue paper from the Cheerful Occasions birthday collection. It's a 6x6 pattern paper. It is single-sided, so I picked 2 pieces of paper, and instead of making 2 cards from 1 sheet, I'm going to make 4 cards from 2 sheets so that I can mix up the pattern paper. That's often what I'll do if I have single-sided paper. However, you don't need to do that, and you can use the same pattern paper for all of your pieces. I think it works particularly well in this sketch. I decided to cut some pink paper for my cardstock mats. All of my cardstock mats are 1/4 inch bigger, so the 3x3 square gets a 3.25 by 3.25 mat. 1.5 squares get 1 3/4 by 1 3/4 square mats. Then I used the same pink cardstock to cut this balloon animal, and then I used a lighter pink to cut the extra little pieces that add dimension. This is also part of the birthday collection. It is the balloon party animal from Spellbinders. I like this because it's actually really quick and easy to put together, especially compared to like Copic coloring, which I love to do, but I don't always either have the time, or if I'm making a whole bunch of cards, sometimes it's more convenient to be able to cut out a bunch of dies. And the pieces are separated, so you'll get the large balloon animal, and then you'll get the extra highlight pieces separately, so you can cut them out at the same time, and one pass of your die cut machine will get you this really interesting die cut. I'm going to add adhesive on all of my pieces. I like the Scotch ATG. It's unfortunately a little bit hard to come by right now, but it can be great because compared to liquid glue, if I put adhesive on all of these pieces, I don't have to stick them down right away. I can leave them sitting there and then assemble everything, whereas liquid glue would probably dry in between. But use your favorite adhesive. It's just, I kind of like to share like why I like that one, and I do have some tips and tricks. So if you've been frustrated by ATG in the past, I have a video where I kind of break down how to refill it and how to better use it in case it's been something that's frustrating to you. I put a little scrap of cardstock behind the center of that large square just so that everything is nice and level and it doesn't sort of dip down in between the smaller yellow squares. I'm ready to glue my pieces. I had accidentally not put the pin back in my Barely Art glue, and if you don't put the pin in it in between uses, some of the glue can dry in the tube, and that makes it a little bit harder to squeeze out. So definitely put the pin back in. And I have a glue lounger from Make It by Marco up there. That can be quite helpful because it keeps the glue down towards the tip when it's not in use, so that when you're ready to use it, your glue is ready to go. And it's great for these smaller little pieces where the ATG would be kind of unwieldy. I am ready to stamp my sentiment. I like to create a template where I've die cut my favorite banner dies, and I add a little bit of painter's tape behind them, so that painter's tape is sticky side through the holes, and it holds that banner die in place so that I can stamp it down easily, and then I can use my tool from Twiddler's Nook to get a great impression. Particularly with a nice solid word stamp like that, you may want to condition your stamp ahead of time, which means like to rub it with some like a rubber eraser or a piece of leather, and that will get some of that residue off that might come from manufacturing. I want to add a bit of dimension. I could just put some foam dots behind my balloon animal here, but I prefer to just use little scraps of cardstock to save, a little bit of money. It's not much, but it's some of those things where, like, instead of having that pile of cardstock scraps that are so small in your stash, this is a way to get rid of them and use them I take two like pieces and tape them together and then tape it onto the back of my elements. And I will add my balloon animal here again with the glue, and then I'm going to add some highlights to it to emphasize the dimension. Spellbinders, when you purchase the die, there's a little example card on the front that gives you some suggestions about where to put the highlights on the balloon. And since I am not an artist, I do not know where it would make sense for them to be, so I'm just going to follow that example. That same tool that I use to press down on my MISTI door and get a great impression can also help me when I'm gluing something down and I want to make sure that I apply pressure all over so that it sticks well. And that's why I pressed it down on my die cut. If you found this video inspiring, here's another video where you can find more ideas for enjoying your crafty time and supplies. Let me know you like this video with a share to your crafty community, subscribe and click the bell so you don't miss the next template or tutorial, and check the video description for product links. See you in the next video.